morning, and has it been quite the morning? Quite the not very much nice morning. And I'm trying to push my cat out of the way of the camera. She keeps getting in the way, so she may actually come stomping through. Except that she's decided to lay down. I'm glad. Okay, so updates. Worse off than ever before. If I could, I would show you my knee brace. Discovered what this is. Apparently, it's possible to have carpal tunnel after having had the surgery, so I'm there again. But the main reason I'm here carrying on is, oof, good morning, Bliss Chris, is it's been a fundamentalist fighting morning. So I'm deliberately dressed as provoking as possible with the fundamentalist crowd. I have on my tie-dyed from Nepal outfit that's backless, that cannot be worn with a bra, so I'm braless. I got my yoga pants on that I would lean back and show you, but I'm still too hurting. I've fallen already this morning, so I am in a fundy double bird move, so I probably will not be monetizing this. A couple things I want to talk about this morning. Hey, good to see you too, Carolyn, even though my vision is shot too. So what did I want to talk about? I want to talk about these awful guys, these patriarchal types, these guys that think they're good patriarchs, all the way from low-level ones, there goes the cat. Oh, come on, kitty, please don't. To guys like, from guys like biblical gender roles that are teeny tiny and have no influence, to the crazy ones like Doug Wilson. And the super famous ones like J Mac, John MacArthur, and Bill Gothard. This is my Shiny Happy People hangover, I guess you'd call it. Since Shiny Happy People, I've had a lot more negative comments, a lot more fundy comments, Evangelical Town comments, Taco Tuesday comments. And it's always stuff like, you were never a Christian, I'll pray for you. Please don't do that. I'm not asking for your prayers. I'm not asking for super chats or anything. It's just not who I am. And I do not want you going out of your way to, quote, pray for me, which feels like, I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you. And those are the nice ones. I got one again this morning that was not so nice, a pile of them actually. And what's frustrating to me about all this is it's all on a very, very, very old posting I did. Let me adjust this. Maybe you can see the green outside, at least something pleasant. So these guys, they're just awful. They're awful in just about every damn way. Many of them are. And the good evangelical patriarch types will show up and tell you off. They'll tell you how awful you are every single time you turn around. I have to quit you moving because it's making the green go away. And I want you to see the lovely green of my view, and it's the cat that's doing it, I think. So what kind of comments do they make? All kinds. All kinds, and it all leads back to the same thing that I keep talking about. A lot of times with evangelicalism, the kind that has no overseeing church or just out there on their own making it up as they're going along. I think they're sharing this one video I did. It was a comparison of Bill Gothard and John MacArthur and their theologies. I was talking about soft and hard complementarianism. I was wearing that frumper that I had left over from my old church days, and with a t-shirt and a head covering. They are flooding into that saying crap to the point where I had to put a warning. So I want to talk a little bit about those guys this morning, how awful they all are. me tell you something. This patriarchal theology and movement and misinterpretation of the things that Paul said started happening in the church less than 100 years ago. This is a new theology. This is not a theology that has a damn thing to do with anything real that the church leaders have been teaching for years. This is a new and misleading theology. Now, why am I talking about this? Why am I so agitated today? These guys and the stuff they say and the stuff they send their followers to say. I got up this morning and people were sending me links to a Christian Post article about Pastor Greg Locke. I don't know if you even know who he is. He is another one of these extreme patriarchal guys, but he wraps his in Christian nationalism, which is something that we've seen coming out of these taco type churches. The I'm full of painkillers this morning, so if I'm stumbling and rambling more than usual, that's what the hell is going on here. Totalitarian, authoritative church organizations. That's what taco means. So you get these guys like Greg Locke. He made a name for himself promoting Donald Trump, the Trump presidency, whether you love Trump, whether you hate him. Locke used his pulpit to constantly, and I want you to see the green because it's irking me, it's all white. He constantly talked about Trump and taking over the nation, punishing liberals, blah, 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 blah. And Greg Locke was like one of the foremost pushers of the whole Christian nationalism thing. There were a lot of others that did it too, but he was infamous for it. He put all these videos of his sermons online. He was there January the 6th. Now, he wasn't arrested as being one of the guys that busted into the Capitol and did their dirty deeds. No, not indeed. So I'm not going to even try to say that. I guess what I'm trying to say is he was a pretty awful example of what a Christian is, yet he was pushing this whole evil Christian nationalism thing. He has promoted it from a megahorn, from a bullhorn. He's just been shouty and awful about it since it's been happening. And I would say he's one of the leaders in the let's have a church that pushes presidents and political agendas they have no business in, but also uses the gospel to hurt people. Do you remember earlier in the week where I was talking about weaponized piety? That also falls under weaponized piety. It's a kind of abuse that these guys do. Wilson does it. In fact, I saw a funny thing about Doug Wilson the other day. Somebody had compared some things that Wilson had said in two of his books where he compared a woman's pouty lips as looking like they'd been hit with a brick. And he thought that was some kind of great device to show that your lips were full and pouty and your evangelical thighs were ready. Oh my word. So that was my side ramble. So Locke has apparently had a change of heart. Do you remember back, 6 months ago maybe less, when there was an outbreak of a claimed revival at a place in Kentucky? Do you remember that? That happened at one of the evangelical schools. One of the schools. And I was saying at the time that I would have to see fruit, real fruit, before I would judge if this was a revival or not. Todd Bentley tried to show up. And Todd Bentley is the guy who has proven himself to not be good. Let's just put it that way. He is a self-promoter. A lot of people who are famous in self-promotion among the charismatic movement. I'm going to call it the Luduku movement because it is kind of crazy. And they promote all these signs and wonders and falling on the floor laughing, being slain in the spirit, all that stuff. No, I've experienced all of those things. And I believe they can have an element of the real to them, but I believe that about 85% of the time they're people acting. So Locke now himself has claimed to have been touched in one of these revival things that happen. I'm so bad I'm going to go revival because they are using this as an excuse to shift and pivot, a lot of them. And I think that's what Locke is doing. He's claiming now that he received an impartation of the Holy Spirit at one of the many revival type places around that spread from the Asbury revival in Kentucky. And so he's taken down all his political videos and has now said that he's not going to promote Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, or anybody else for president from the pulpit. And he apologized, and he's acted kind of humble in some ways, and he's shown up at a few more of these things. So he still says he's going to call out the evils of abortion and feminism and stuff. He's still going to go after that. But he's claiming he's had a change of heart. So my challenge to you and to myself is to watch and see if that's true. If he actually has had a change of heart. Or is this just another game in the system shifting because it looks like the Republican ticket is going to be a red hot mess no matter who wins it, whether it's Pence, Trump, DeSantis, or some Indian guy whose name escapes me right now. Or, God forbid, RFK Jr., who I am not a fan of, but my husband adores him. So all of this is going on, and Locke is saying all this stuff. And all Christian nationalist, patriarchal guys, like I said, they are still beating the drums for everything. They're giving all kinds of just really awful advice out there. And they're all fighting back against shiny, happy people, which it is what it is. Bill Gothard has done his share of very awful things. Very, very awful things. There are allegations that he groped young girls at his ministry, and he may well have done it. I know some of the women that were suing him, and I've talked to them, and I believe their story. I believe that Bill Gothard abused them. And that will never change. The soft complementarism of John MacArthur, it still puts women down. It is still complementarianism. It is still a division between male and female. And it denies the scriptures that say that in heaven there is no male or female. So why on earth are we being treated like lesser beings by the church? Why? Why are they still doing this crap based upon a few verses by Paul and a few verses by Titus? Is beyond me. I just don't get it any longer, and I'm not putting up with it. So this is your warning if you're in Fundy Town, if you're a taco head, if you're one of these guys, if you're a supporter of biblical gender roles, the craziest guy I know on the planet, or you're like Von Ullman and you think that every word that proceeds from your mouth is that of the God. I gotta tell you guys, if you're a pastor and you have no humbleness, I have no intention of having anything to do with you. I don't follow that. I only follow people that are relatively humble about what they know and who they know. I used to love my pastor here in Costa Rica, the one they ran off because of that. He had the most humility I've ever seen in a pastor. And it was his undoing. The eviler members of the congregation did him in and ran him off. And they did a horrible thing when they did that. So This is my calling out all you guys and saying, no more, I'm done. I've been trying to reason with you guys for years in my writings and things. Ain't no reason to went crazy as far as I'm concerned. And I'm of the opinion that God created man and woman equally. If you read the book of Genesis, where, how do you like that? I just moved my hand and it screwed up the color. I'm of the opinion that, we're supposed to be side by side, men and women. We're fellow travelers in this life. And whether you're single, married, whatever, it doesn't matter. None of that is something that matters in this life. What does matter is love. The love you have for other people, the love you have for those that are around you, those that you've never met. And love is not telling people things like, you're a sinner, you're going to hell. Nobody ever got into heaven by being scared into it. So there you go. That's my Saturday morning rant. I'm so fed up with these guys. I'm just so incredibly fed up with these guys. I thought I would be able to stop talking about them and just no longer do any of the religious content. That was really my goal. And this week I started filming for doing a sewing one because I had 3 people approach me in a week about simple projects and I had to kind of walk them through it. So I'm thinking I may be doing that as well. And I definitely want to do a review of the Righteous Gemstones from all the way from season 1, episode 1 to the ones we're going through right now because they're being released. Well, I want to do a series based on the Righteous Gemstones that has to do with their theology and what they believe and what they actually actualize. Because we see this again and again with the Righteous Gemstones. They reflect some of the worst parts of evangelicalism. They really do. The children, I'm saying. Now, Eli Gemstone, not so much. The partners, not so much of these characters. In fact, I was saying on Reddit, and if you see my screen behind me, you see that I'm on Reddit, even though I can't type right now. I am mostly not typing. I'm trying to stay off it, but I am reading every thread on Reddit. And I used a program the other day, a speech to text one to put up something about what I thought about the Righteous Gemstones and their faith, where I talked about the one that I think is the closest to what I would call a real Christian is Keith. I still believe Keith is the number one guy in the group that actually is. He's humble. He takes his role of what he does in the name of Jesus very seriously. He's all in. When he sins and falls down, he confesses his sins and gets right back up and keeps working for the Lord in a kind and gentle way. And I really think that's what we're supposed to be, not calling each other out, not getting in the pulpit and screaming about Trump, Biden, or anybody else. We're not supposed to be throwing rocks at each other. And people tell me when they hear these videos, they're like, why are you throwing rocks at these pastors? I'm not throwing rocks at them. I want them to change. I desperately want them to change. I want them to be kind and gentle. I want them to get over the fact that sometimes women don't wear bras and sometimes they wear their yoga pants. The cat's bouncing the bed again. I wish wholeness and healing for all these people. But as long as they're saying that women are subhuman, I will be calling out the American evangelical church. It's just going to be the way it goes. Okay. Love you guys. I'm going to go. I'm going to take my disordered self and lay down for a while. Love you. Have a great weekend if you can. I know I'm going to try to, but it's mostly me.